Hello everyone. Um, Something that I think has to stop is this celery juice thing. Um, I've seen a lot of people talk about this and a lot of people doing this and people buying massive quantities of celery. I think it's straight celery juice people are doing. They're getting celery and making juice from the celery. And why people don't just eat the celery, I don't really know. Maybe they don't like eating it, but they prefer to juice it. I don't know, but it has to stop, right? This is not a good practice, in my opinion, for anyone. This isn't a good way to start your day. It's not a particularly nutritious food. Obviously, it's better than a lot of options out there. But I keep on hearing people doing this, talking about celery juice, and there's people that have claimed that they had certain health issues and then they started doing celery juice, or they struggled to digest a raw food diet or fruit or whatever, and then they started having celery juice and everything worked out. And I just don't really buy into these ideas. And the celery juice thing comes from the medical medium guy, and I think he promotes a sort of a plant-based, raw, vegan style diet, although I'm not sure exactly what he's saying. But I know a number of people have kind of got under his wing, and I don't know, maybe he talks about different magical things and diagnoses people with the power of mediumship. And let me tell you one thing about mediumship, or about spirits, or about any kind of spiritual forces. The fact that something is a disembodied, incarnate spirit, entity, energy, whatever you want to believe, if that even does exist, does not give it any authority to know anything about health and nutrition and how to live. And most people in the history of the world have lived on a less than particularly healthy diet. So how are their spirits going to know anything you don't? You might think they've got some access to some knowledge you don't have, but I would suggest most likely they don't. That is, if there is such a thing as a spirit. I went to a thing with a medium one time, and they talked about you need to eat more protein to have a good spiritual connection or something like that. And I knew immediately from my basic knowledge of nutrition, firstly, that there's no one in that room that was not eating enough protein. There was not a single person in that room that needed to hear that. There's probably not a single person in this country that's not getting enough protein, unless they're just like on a long-term fast or something, or they're anorexic or whatever, and they're just not eating enough nutrition in general. So why would a spirit say that? Well, because it's just an idea that's in that medium's mind that they want to put across. It's not really anything to do with, or if that is a spirit or whatever, doesn't know anything about nutrition, doesn't know anything about human nutrition. You've got to be. This is a lesson about like the spiritual aspect of things. Don't think that a spirit or a ghost or whatever has some right to know everything, or has some wisdom that you don't have, or whatever. What are they doing coming back and communicating with you if they are trying to do that? Doesn't that suggest that they've probably they're the one with the problem in this situation? Like, why are they still like clinging to the earthly plane? Anyway, I didn't really want to get into a whole discussion on that stuff, but medical medium is maybe diagnosing people using mediumship. Poor way of diagnosing things, terrible way of diagnosing things. You should never diagnose anything through psychic, mediumship, or any of that stuff. It's far too easy to make a mistake, basically. Far too easy to make a mistake, and tiny mistakes can lead to people dying and people being misdiagnosed and all of this stuff. And so a person has a bad day or whatever, but they're financially incentivized to diagnose you with their mystical powers, well, maybe they're gonna just come up with an answer. And the fact that the vast majority of people, like, if you go to a medium, it's one of the easiest things in the world, right? I know mediums, and I used to do some mediumship training and stuff. Actually, I went to some classes. Something I used to be kind of interested in. And what you do is you stand in front of a room of 40, 50 people, and you say, can anyone take, someone had a heart issue before they passed. Can anyone take, someone had a heart issue. I feel it's a male energy. Can anyone take a heart issue before they passed, just before they passed? And I'm picking up a diabetes issue, and it's like, there's only 3 or 4 things that people die from, and there's only 2 genders, and there's only so many names. And if you pick, and it's a John or a James, or it's a Jackie, or it's a, and you're like, if you just work out the odds of 40, 50 people in a room from the UK, of the people that go along to these things are all mostly older people, 50s, 60s and all that, and a lot of women, usually, more so than men, and you take that audience and you say to them, like, does anyone know someone that's died of a heart issue? It's a John, it's a James, it's a Jim, it's a Jack, it's something like that. Of course someone knows someone. Of course, I mean, I can think of someone that I can apply that to, if it's women, it would be a Mary or a Margaret, or it's just like names from that era. Do you know what I mean? It's like, so. And I don't. By the way, there's some. I saw some mediumship stuff that blew my mind, like, and was just like. And this guy, like the guy, I don't know why I'm going into all this mediumship, but there's a guy called Gordon Smith from the UK, and maybe he pays everyone in the audience. I don't know, but he would literally be like telling, like, full on first names, surnames, and people are saying yes, 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 and he just keeps on throwing information, like really specific information. So there are guys out there that are either they're paying off the entire audience, or they're kind of doing something right. So, not to dismiss that whole thing, but that doesn't mean that you go to a spirit to give you a diagnosis. We don't need to do that. Do you know what I mean? We don't need to do that. We don't need to go to. Maybe at one time we didn't have the facilities that we have, but we don't need to go to mediums, mystics, shamans, or anything like that to deal with our healthcare issues. Now, maybe you're under attack by spiritual forces and dark demonic forces, and maybe you need to find out what that is. Maybe that is the case, but we don't need mediums to diagnose cancer, thyroid, heart conditions, and all that kind of stuff. I have heard of stories of people going to medium or going to people like that, and with a lump, and they say, oh no, don't worry, it's not cancer, it's not bad, you'll be fine and all that, drink your celery juice, and and it turns out it was cancer, and the person didn't go and get proper medical attention. So I'm super skeptical about anyone claiming to diagnose through mediumship. And also I would be super skeptical of any spirit's interpretation of your health. Why would you think that they have some information you don't have? So you got to, yeah. Anyway, but the celery juice thing. Celery is just a vegetable, right? It's quite salty, so people have this whole, oh, it's got so many minerals in it, it's got electrolytes and all that kind of stuff. So does an apple, so does a banana, so does oranges, so do peaches. They have electrolytes, they have salts, they have minerals, not sodium chloride, but they have sodium, potassium, they have all this stuff. But the one thing they have that celery doesn't have, they have calories, they have carbohydrates in a good quantity for you to fuel your day. So why would you start your day with like negative calories of celery juice? And it's also this idea that we need to have something that doesn't taste good. Because I'm doubting people do it for the taste. If you do it for the flavour and you like the flavour of celery juice, I salute that. I think if any kind of vegetable or whatever, if you like the flavour of it and that's why you eat it, that's great. But people having these regimes of celery juice in the morning, like juicing a whole thing of celery, like it's a kind of like it's a medicine, and that's what I don't like about it. We should eat food. We should have a relationship with food, and not think, I don't really like that. Let your food be thy medicine, medicine be thy food. No, because medicine and food are different things, and you don't need your food to be medicine. You need your food to be food, and medicine is a separate thing, which hopefully, if you eat healthy, you won't really need much of. That doesn't mean you'll never have to take it, but it means hopefully you'll never have to take much of it, and you can avoid it mostly. But food is food. It should be enjoyed. It should be something that you enjoy the flavour of. I don't force myself to eat things, really. I don't go, I need to have, I'm trying to think of something I don't like. So celery, for example, is something I don't like. This is probably why I'm making this video as well. And at the fruit festival last week, there was always chopped up celery for anyone that wanted it. I never took it, and I don't like celery in my salad dressings much. I tend to not add it to many things. For me, it has a kind of a powerful flavour that overwhelms everything, and I don't really like that flavour. So if you do enjoy it, then great. I know a lot of people that enjoy eating celery, and if that's why you do the celery juice, you enjoy the juice, great. But it's not really a great health practice, I don't think. It's not a boost to your day. It's not improving your life. It's not making the world a better place. And I hate this idea that people are like, feel they need to load themselves up with minerals and electrolytes and salts and all that stuff. You need carbohydrates. And years ago I used to watch Durian Rider, and he would talk about carbohydrates and carbs and carbohydrates, and it's so true. And so my problem is that people are focusing on a very low carbohydrate start to the day, when they should focus on a very high carbohydrate start to the day. This is you fueling yourself for the rest of the day. Now, you don't need to eat first thing in the morning, of course, but I think you should give priority in your body, the space in your digestive system, to carbohydrate rich sweet fruits, and then vegetables should be added in second place to that. So that's kind of my take on the celery juice thing. Don't think it's bad for people, don't think it causes harm, but I don't think it should be the focus. I think the focus should be on sweet fruits, and a complete connection with the idea that sweet fruits are the healthy foods, are the foods that should be our staple foods, are the foods that have the nutrition that we require, that have the carbohydrates that we require to fuel ourselves for a healthy day, and prevent yourself from later on in the day going back to unhealthier choices. So thank you for watching. I'd love to hear your thoughts on celery juice below, and I'll see you in the next video.